of you to join us, sunshine.
I'm not gonna lie, Fear 2 wasn't really on my to-buy list. It looked okay, but I just figured it was just another shooter. And you know what? It's totally just that. But I feel there's only so much you can do with the FPS genre, and when taking that into account, the only thing that really matters is if the game is fun to play, and Fear 2 is totally fun to play. While it's not the greatest shooter ever, and I'll be honest, I didn't really care for the story, Fear 2 is still an enjoyable game to play, especially if you love what I think are creepy Asian girls. And with creepy Asian girls in mind, let's get into my review. The story of Fear 2 takes place 30 minutes before the ending of the original Fear, and I've never played that, so I'm flying blind on this one, you guys. Now, I found the story to be pretty boring, but then again, I didn't play the first game, but here's what I could gather. You play as Michael Beckett, a soldier in a special forces unit that has to pick up some old lady that I don't care about, nor can I remember her name. A little bit into the story, you conveniently get the ability to slow down time like the last game's main character, and you set off on a quest to stop Alma, who is a creepy Asian girl, I think. But that's the story in its most basic form, I think again. I really should have paid more attention to the story, I'm sorry about that. I couldn't even find like a plot summary of it online, but I'm sure that's close enough. The story itself isn't necessarily bad. It's probably more interesting if you played the first game, though, and I wouldn't know because I didn't do that, but overall the story was alright, I guess. Fear 2 is a first-person shooter. I know, a huge duh. As far as game modes go, you have the main campaign, which is pretty basic stuff. Go from point A to point B and collect some intel along the way. It's standard, but I had the most fun playing through the game in this mode. You have your basic set of weapons like assault rifles and sniper rifles and giant robots. Okay, that's not really standard, but it's a nice addition. Personally, I think every game is better with giant robots. I mean, picture it. Pokemon with giant robots. Awesome. Now, the main gimmick to the overall gameplay is that your character can slow down time, and I found this to be pretty useful in spots. Not to mention, there's something very satisfying about slowing down time and getting point blank in an enemy's face, and then shooting them with a shotgun, and then they just explode into a million bloody pulps. That's very nice. Aside from the single-player mode, we also have a multiplayer component, which I didn't really enjoy too much. I mean, it's just your basic deathmatch modes and stuff like that, but it's fun if you're in the right mood. This mode contains stuff you'd see in any other multiplayer shooter. Other people, you shooting them shooting you, and best of all, good old campers. Yeah, I found this guy hiding, and then I shot him, and then I went around the area again, and then I found him again in the same spot, and then I shot him again. He sucked at camping. But overall, I didn't think Fear 2 really brought anything new to the whole table, gameplay-wise, but there's only so much you can do with the FPS genre, as I previously stated. With that in mind, Fear 2 plays really well, controls are tight, and it was just fun to play, and that's all that really matters to me, so all in all, the gameplay was pretty good. I felt that Fear 2 was lacking somewhat in the presentation department. The game tries to go for this creepy, scary look, and it succeeds in some regards, but fails in others. The graphics, for example, were decent. There was lots of blood on the walls and random shit jumping out at you, but the game made use of a lot of dark lighting, which did add to the whole scary stuff, but also made it really hard to see, and a lot of the time I was more frustrated at not being able to see anything than being all immersed and amazed at the dark wonders of darkness. The game also had a bit of a blur effect going on, which actually worked pretty well, and it wasn't overused. I hate when it's overused. So overall, the graphics were pretty good. On the sound side of things, voice acting was okay. I really had no issues with it, and I've heard a lot worse, so in that regard, it's pretty good. Now, music-wise, the game doesn't have too much, but that's a good thing. I like it that way. This does add to the whole creepy level because you just walk around and get to hear creepy stuff, and honestly, I feel an overabundance of music would have just ruined the whole experience. Overall, the presentation was decent. It tried to go for a scary look, and it did that with blood, but I feel they could have toned down the darkness a bunch. Let me see the blood on the walls, Monolith. And the sound is great because it's barely there. Leave it that way. So yeah, overall, it was decent. All in all, I think Fear 2 is a pretty fun game. It's not the greatest FPS ever, but it's fun, and that's all that matters, you guys. So if you like to shoot stuff, or love creepy Asian girls, or what I think are creepy Asian girls, let's assume they are, then go buy this game, because it's fun, and it may have creepy Asian girls in it. Maybe. Fear 2 gets a B+.